My life is an eclectic mess, and I love having random things that I immerse myself in. Hi, my name is Brandy. Some of my accomplishments include wife, mom, friend, honey lady, entrepreneur, and farm girl. Follow along with me as I discover other things I am passionate about. The first on my list is achieving my private pilot's license. Why? Because why not? My favorite thing in life is proving to myself that I'm a badass. Plus, my husband is a pilot, and we have already managed to take the air coast to coast. In my vlogs, you'll see the journey to discovering more, parts of my real life, and places we travel to. So hit that subscribe button now, and don't forget to like my videos.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of my vlog, and actually this is the final wrap-up episode where I bring my instructor on. She's obviously my friend now, and we do a little bit of a coffee talk, kind of like if you've ever seen Gold Rush, and at the end of their season they all sit down and they kind of just talk about their season, what went great, what went bad, what could be improved on for the next one. So I wanted to tell y'all, if this is your first time watching and you haven't figured out why I wanted to get my private pilot license, I thought I'd share a little bit with you. So my husband Travis, he has had his license, I think 5 years now, don't quote me, but he's been hounding me for quite a while since we've been flying together to get my private pilot license, just in the fact that if something were to happen to him in the air, I could actually land the plane safely because he doesn't want me to go down. And my joke to him was, well, you know, if something happens to you, I will just pull CAPS. CAPS is a parachute in our plane. It's a super awesome safety feature. You cannot pull it if you're under 500 AGL, and I learned the other day you have to be under 133 knots. Okay. So, but Travis says, hey, if you're up high, we have lots of fuel, lots of time, so you don't have to pull it right away. You can just glide, fly, you know, talk into the radio to the tower or whoever else, right? So one great thing about flight school is that you can learn to talk on the radio properly. Although if you're in an emergency situation, I don't think they really care about proper as much as getting through what you need to say. So he's been hounding me for quite a while, and I'm like, nope, nope, nope. But this past year, we did a big move, and we moved to Montana, and bought into an air park community, and I love the air park community. We have planes every day in and out. So I kind of just like resignated, like, maybe. And this past summer, gosh, I think it was April, I was driving 6 hours to see Travis, and I was thinking, this is so stupid. Yeah. I have a plane, actually Travis has 2 planes, that why aren't I flying? And technically he was supposed to fly home on the weekends to visit family, but you know, he's stuck at work, he's a beekeeper, and so agriculture is super demanding. So I'm driving 6 hours, and I'm in my head, I have so much time to think about it, and I'm like, why don't I fly? Yeah. Like, it makes sense, right? Yeah, totally. So I'm at that point, I have nothing else to do. So when I had pulled over at the rest stop, I downloaded the Sporty's pilot training app. Because, you know, why not? So it's a one-time fee, you got lifetime access, and you can get all your ground school done. And at the end, they give you a certificate after you pass 2 practice tests, so you can go and take your written. And I already knew a bunch of flying because Travis and I went up quite a bit. So that was my background in why to get that pilot license. Since getting it though, I've kind of fallen in love with flying. Yep, that happens. Right? And it kind of just grabs you. So now Travis, it's funny, every night I feel like I'm him at this point where I'm flipping through airplanes for sale, trying to find one to buy, because the planes we have, they don't really call to me, right? Like the Cirrus we have, it's Travis's plane. It's not my plane, but I still need to fly it right seat so I can learn to land, because that is the plane we fly together. Yeah. It's a little different flying right seat. Yeah. but it's fun. So that's my background on getting that private pilot license, loving flying. Obviously, if Travis was not a pilot, we didn't have our planes, I would not have pursued this, but I am super thankful he is. Yeah. I've met some amazing friends along the way, including, and I'm not going to say her name because she's going to introduce herself. So let's get to that point. So can you tell everyone who you are and why you wanted to be a pilot?
All right, well, my name is Charlotta Scott, and I'm originally from Sweden. That's my accent. And obviously, I'm Brandy's friend and flight instructor. So why I started flying, that is 25 plus years ago.
Okay.
I'm just gonna leave it at that. And back then, there was not a lot of female pilots, but I just thought it sounded like super fun and interesting. And in Sweden, you had to test kind of like for the Air Force here.
Okay.
So you do 2 days of testing to see if you kind of qualify to be a commercial pilot. So I did that, and I passed the test, I guess. I'm like, I just went for it. But then I had a big break because I had 5 kids and I lived in Bahamas, things like that. So kind of got away from flying, got into a little bit of boating instead, and then we moved back, and I got back into flying again. So I love it. I'm totally love flying. I fly every day.
So I know this question was not on because I always have something pop into my mind. Are you first generation pilot in your family, or do you have pilots?
No pilots. I mean, I didn't even know any pilots.
Really?
No, it was just, I think I was, young. I was very adventurous. I wanted to do a lot of different things and, try different stuff. And I just thought that sounded so cool,
I think it does.
So I'm like, I want to be a pilot. And then everybody felt like, when I became a pilot, I'm like, you're a flight stewardess, It's like, no, I'm a pilot. I fly the airplanes. I don't serve the drinks. They're like, because it was not very common then. Mm-hmm. Now it's a lot more common with female pilots, so that's really cool.
Yeah, I still feel like there's more men in the radios than there is women.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely.
Okay, so what does CFII mean? I forgot to mention that she holds the CFII.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty neat.
So CFII, that means that you can not only teach, but you can teach instrument flying. So it means for people in not aviation, that means you can fly in bad weather, not have to look outside and just look at the instrument, and you can teach doing that as well. So,
sweet.
Yeah.
And then what made you decide to get your CFII?
Safety, first of all, and also, if you're gonna fly and you're gonna do a lot of flying, first of all, to be a commercial pilot, you have to fly instrument, obviously. And then to keep that, you wanna be current, you wanna fly a lot of instrument to stay and be able to do that, because if you're not flying that a lot, you kind of lose the scanning. There's a lot of scanning and stuff, so you want to just keep doing that. So teaching that obviously is something that makes you do that continuously, and then stay on track and make sure you know what you're doing. Plus, it's really fun. I love it.
You like the challenge, though.
Yeah,
I know you. You're like all about the challenge and conquering things. And so, can you tell us what is your favorite type of plane to fly and why?
I think it's a little bit hard because I just learned how to fly seaplane this summer. So that is really fun. And I don't really care, I've been flying 2 different ones, so it doesn't really matter. It's just the flying on the water that's kind of like, wow, this is really cool. It's freedom. But I do love the 206s.
Okay.
I think they're amazing airplanes. And flying that like I've been doing this summer in the backcountry, it's just, I feel like, the performance, you can take off and land really cool places, and I just love it. It's kind of like a big beast, like a tractor, and it's like, I feel like, it's safe. I can land it anywhere. It's really cool. I really love that airplane.
Travis was telling me maybe a 206 versus the 182, but the price point to me, I feel like I'm 182.
I know, they're pretty expensive, especially in these days, when airplanes are expensive.
Oh my
so
gosh.
They are very expensive, but on the other hand, you can fit 6 people in it. So if you have family, like if I bought an airplane, I would buy that so I can bring all my kids along, you know. So that's the, you know, the trade-off with the price.
So, what scares you about flying right seat with the student pilots?
Well, I mean, I think with age, I'm more and more comfortable. I think I'm pretty comfortable these days on the right seat because I feel like I know when it's, you know, someone is ready versus when I first started to teach, it was a little bit more, well, is the person ready? Because you don't have a lot of experience yourself as an instructor. But now I feel like I'm pretty confident.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just mostly I mean, I tell all my students, as you know, speed, you know, keep, you know your speeds, then you're safe, and that's for me. And I got to make sure my students keep, you know what they're doing with that and know how to recover.
Well, I personally loved flying with you because I felt you had so much confidence in me, even as that first couple days we were flying, because she's like, all right, you're flying. And I'm like, what the heck? I thought the first flight out there, I would not be flying and I would just be watching.
No.
But she's like, okay, now you can rotate. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So that was a little cool.
Yeah.
To say the least. But I wanted to give you a present for all your hard work and dedication to me. Yes.
You're so sweet. Thank you.
I don't think I would have been able to get it as fast as I did without having you as my instructor.
Well, you did a good job, and you put in a lot of hard work. You know, if you're willing to do that, you can get your certificate, you know, license, whatever, really quick.
Yes.
You just have to work, you know, not in between, you know, each session, which you really did, and you know, did a lot of videos and stuff, and I think that probably helped you.
I think so, yeah. The videos, I videoed our flight training, so when I came home, because you're just so invested when you're flying, and you're not, it's like a lot of it kind of just goes in and out, so when you rewatch, you're like, oh, I cannot believe I said rudder when it was this, or, you know, like other things. So I'm like, well, never doing that again.
Yeah, and I totally forgot. I didn't even think about that you had a camera there. And then start watching your videos, like, oh my goodness, I hope I don't say something down here. You know?
Oh, I promise I didn't. I made sure not to keep those parts out.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so open up your present.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Nice.
I'm like, what can a pilot need these days?
Oh wow, there's lots of goodies. Ooh.
I hope you like the color. I have a hard time when you get so many options to figure out colors.
That's very beautiful. I love that color. Oh, nice. You know what I like. Oh, you can never have too many of these, right?
And look at how cool that is.
Oh my goodness. Pilot. That's awesome. Thank you.
Right?
That is so beautiful.
They drink really easy too with the straws, and then you have your coffee cup top. And
nice. This is awesome. Yes, this is definitely needed.
I think you can never have too many backup batteries.
Oh my goodness, no. As a pilot, you definitely need at least a few of these.
Oh my gosh, right?
Yeah, that's it. Always comes handy. Oh. Ooh, nice.
Gotta have your sugar. And I got one more thing, so let me go get it.
One more thing?
One more thing.
Oh, Brandy, you're so sweet.
Charlotta and I, whenever we would fly, I loved our conversations, and like my shirt says, I was always saying right rudder or rudder, and we joke about it saying udder. And honestly, I probably should have said right udder on it. But I had to get a shirt made for Charlotta, and it says patience. And can you tell us why I chose the word patience for you?
Yes, I definitely can. Because when Brandy started to learn how to land an airplane, she really wanted just to land it, and I wanted her to be patient, and she just wanted to come down and land it. And when you're being patient, that's where you get the really smooth, nice landing.
So she'd be like,
she would be like,
patience.
Patience.
So I had to getter, so I
Oh my
hope
God.
it fits you.
Love it. This is awesome. Oh my God. Thank you. Oh, this is so neat.
So when I was driving that 6-hour drive and I'm like, hey, I can do this, let's do this. I get home from that weekend and I call the flight school just to see their schedule and see how I could get in. And I called them and Rachel answered the phone. She was super sweet. She says, I asked her, what is the average that it takes a student to get their private pilot license? Average, right? And so she's thinking about it and she says, well, if you're coming on a daily basis, 3 to 4 months. And this was, let's see, beginning of May I called.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's way too long. Like my plan was to get my license by the end of June. You know, I wanted to be able to fly all summer long. So I, you know, scheduled a flight, not a discovery flight, because I've already had so many of those with Travis. Yeah. And if you watched my questions with Will, the discovery flight we explained was, you know, somebody who's never been up in the air before, they go up and they have like a short introductory flight, like a little ground lesson, and then some in the air. And then you can tell before you put all your effort, time, and money into ground school and flying if it's something for you. Yeah. So I already did that. So I scheduled my neighbor. She's been taking flight lessons. So I called her and I said, hey, I'm going to the same flight school you're going to go to. Who should I call and who should I schedule with? And she highly recommended Charlotta. She says, Charlotta's been amazing. I've had so many different instructors and she is the best. So yes,
Thanks, Mary.
I only go with the best because, you know, why settle for less? So I called and I snuck in. Rachel said, hey, Charlotta has an opening, and that was May 12th was her opening. And I think it was like a week from when I called. So I'm like, sure, let's do this. So I scheduled, went in, and, you know, gosh, I had a headset. I think I brought a headset, and that was probably about it. Yeah. I was a little nervous about flying because, you know, it's awkward. I'm not flying, videoing, because it's a little awkward to video with people around. And I'm like, I don't know if she's going to let me. So let's just fly the first flight without one. But truly, I asked, and she was super awesome and said, yeah, go ahead and video, because those definitely help me. I feel a lot faster. Yeah. And then even doing these vlogs, like going back to my recordings. Yeah. But so I always get off topic. But when I met Charlotta and I told her, I think we talked a tiny bit before we flew. And then after the flight, we came in and I was just like, whoa, you know, I said, hey, I am not here as a hobby or just to come in on occasion when I feel like it and fly. I am here to get my private pilot license. And this was May 12th. I told her that my goal was to have my license by the end of June. And I'm sure she thought I was crazy. But she was on board with helping me get that license secured. So I had a goal. I feel like goals make you work and go towards it. Even if you don't get it by a little bit, it's still an amazing thing to set for yourself. So now, what was your initial thoughts of me, your newest student pilot, after meeting me and taking our first flight together? And you can be honest. I promise I'll talk to you again.
No, I mean, honestly, you are such you have such a good energy. It's just, you know, all you're bubbly and happy and yeah, no, I didn't, you know, I honestly, I didn't even doubt that you could do that. I mean, if you had been a 18-year-old girl coming in there, I would have probably thought, oh, she might not, you know, but I knew you have a little skin on your nose, you have some experience, had some kids and stuff, so I didn't even think that you weren't gonna, you know, I knew you were gonna put in the effort on it, and you really did. You did work really hard, so.
And, you know, when I first met you two, and that first impression, I'm like, she is my person. Yeah. She has that same energy. I love the energy. Yeah. And I feel like when you feed off energy, it definitely does make a load of difference. Yeah. So that was, yes. So when I told you I wanted to get my license by the end of June, and this was May 12th, how crazy do you think I was?
No, I mean, I didn't actually.
Yes.
You know, we're coming into good months of flying, and you know, that's why, you know, you're just gonna have to be here. You know, every day. Some will be canceled due to weather and, you know, technical problems and stuff like that. So you're just gonna have to, you know, schedule your flights, and most important, keep you know, doing all the ground school. And you really did, you know, you really did. They come in every day when we flew, and you know, I've done this, I've done that, you know, I got a test, you know, and all this. So I didn't even doubt it. Like when you were coupled, of course, you know, the first week it's hard to see like, oh, is she gonna do it really, or what's gonna happen? But you kind of just, you know, showed me right off the bat that, you know, you were dedicated and come back every day with, you know, oh, I worked on this yesterday after a lesson. And so a week in, I was sure that you were gonna make it, yeah.
And when she says dedication and coming in and doing this on a daily, our favorite thing about that whole, like the scheduling process is I told Charlotta, hey, I work from home. I have my own office. I make my schedule so I can work around whatever you give me, so I'll take whatever you have. And so the joke was I would get a ding on my phone and it'd say reservation created. And I'm like, oh, Charlotta scheduled me to fly. Let's see what we got. And I just showed up, so.
Yeah, that was really great. I honestly, Brandy's my only student that I can do that with. That's very rare. And you know, me and Rachel would be like talking. I was like, oh yeah, I just scheduled, you know, Brandy's like, you don't need to check with her. She's like, nope. I just schedule her and she'll come in.
I'll just show up. That
was really great.
Yes, and it's still happening today.
Yeah, like, oh.
Rachel calls me, hey, Charlotta has to change your flight. And I'm like, oh, I'm scheduled? So it's the joke. But without that, I feel like I wouldn't have been pushed enough to get through it as I, you know, that short timeline that was in a month and a half was my scheduled when I saw it. So talking about flying and soloing, the week that Charlotta told me, hey, every day this week, because she had me scheduled every day, she's like, wear a shirt that you are okay getting the tail cut off of it. And I'm like, okay. And I kind of knew already what that was about because Travis is a pilot. But can you tell us, for everybody watching, what's the significance to cutting the tail off the shirt?
You know, honestly, I don't even know where it comes from, but that's what pilots do. When you do solo, you cut your back of your shirt off and write on it, right? You know, what airplane you flew, what day, the instructor, what, you know, all the information. And then as instructors, we kind of, you know, put that on a wall.
And, you know, I was joking with Charlotta too. I'm like, man, that must be a stinky wall because I'm not kidding you. Well, and it was summertime, right? And we're sweating anyway.
Yeah.
But you sweat, like the nerves when you're flying, like you're sweating. And so I felt bad when she was writing. If you guys saw that video, she's writing on this sweaty tail of a shirt. And I'm like, oh, I feel so terrible. But from what I heard on the tail cutting, it's, you know, back in the day, the instructor, it used to be tandem, so they'd be behind. And so they'd pull on the tail to kind of tell them, you know, which way to go or, you know, kind of give them some instructions. So the whole point of cutting that tail is so they can't pull on them anymore because they soloed.
Oh, that's neat. I did not know that.
Yeah. So cool. I don't know if that's 100% accurate. Yeah. That's what I've been told, and I'm very gullible. So a lot of the time I believe anything anyone tells me. So that was my what I had thought about that. So do you still get nervous when you're sending those student pilots up to solo for their first time?
I do get a little bit nervous. Obviously, you never know. I mean, it's your. But as I said a little bit earlier, I do feel pretty comfortable these days. Because I think in the beginning when I first started to instruct, I was really nervous. Like my first solo student that I let fly, that was more nervous for me than when I flew by myself the first time myself. So, but I think, you know, instructing and for so many years and you kind of, you know, feel a little bit more secure. But of course, it's nerve-wracking, right? You're standing there, oh, there's my baby, you know. So
yeah. Well, and I went back and, you know, when I was thinking of this wrap-up episode, and I kind of went back through some of my footage and stuff, and I was watching that first solo flight, and Charlotta videoed me both landing and taking off with them all, and you could just hear her like raw excitement for me, and just that pure like, she did it. And if you have not seen that episode, you definitely need to go back and see that first solo flight, because that's like just an eye-opener. Like, it's just that next step. It's like when you turn 16 and you get your driver license, right? Like, here are your wings, go fly. And Travis, you know, I told Travis about, oh yeah, Charlotta said this week I'm gonna be able to solo. And he, you know, I feel like he was very like, oh my gosh. He's like, if you don't feel comfortable flying, don't do it. He's like, a lot of instructors. So, and that's the difference too. If you have that right instructor, you definitely won't be pushed out sooner than you need. But there are some instructors out there, that's where Travis is coming from, that they just want to solo students as fast as they can, and they might not truly be ready. So that's where his hesitation came. Yeah. And I'm like, don't worry, I can tell her no. I can tell her no. But yeah, so we ended up doing that. It was the best experience ever, and it was a great day to fly. Yeah. Although, you know, that sun blaring in your eyes, turning from downwind to base, it was like, so you really have to depend on those comms and make sure you're calling out where you are in the pattern. Some people take the pattern really wide, some people take the pattern really short, narrow, and so that's kind of why, like, you really want that standard pattern, so you don't cut people off or you don't end up hitting anybody.
Which happens too.
Yes, so
getting cut off, so
that was definitely where his nerves came in. And there was a time on that first flight that I could not recall where there was a plane, because there was another student pilot up. And so I kind of just explained where I was at, you know, and then when you call out, they call out where they're at, and you can understand and know better. But
I think that's one of your really strong things, is you're really good on the radio. You're really good reporting, and you know, and not everybody are, but that's you, very good.
Okay, so this is the end wrap up. We're done with the student pilot journey, you know, like, and honestly, like, after I got the private pilot license, you know, you can fly with people in your plane, and I really have not taken anyone up in a plane. Like, I still feel like a student pilot because we're always learning. But yes, I can definitely fly with people now, although I have not done that. My kids definitely would rather fly with their dad versus me. But what's next in my journey of piloting, right, is I am continuing my flight training as far as the instrument. So Charlotta's been alongside me again. I can't get rid of her. She can't get rid of me either. But my goal is to fly every 7 to 10 days to stay feeling comfortable in that cockpit, right? Yeah. Although right now, I think it's been 7 weeks. Yeah. But Travis said that in the wintertime, it's harder to go up there on a constant basis. So, but we're going to go up in a couple days together and do some more IFR training. So that's my next thing. And then when you get that IFR rating, your insurance will go down because you have more knowledge. And it's not necessarily I want to go fly in bad weather, because that's not the case. I want to fly in great weather, but in the event you get into bad weather for any kind of reason, you have the ability to get through it. So that's the thing. That's why they say those instrument ratings are huge. Is just so
they really are. You know, because you know, weather comes quick sometimes. So
it does.
Definitely.
It does. As much as well. And what's funny is when I started looking into the pilot license, they're like, pilots actually have to be weathermen themselves, because you have to predict the weather kind of and know about it. Yeah. So who knew that we'd be weather women? So what's next for you?
Well, I'm not really sure, honestly. there's a lot of thoughts in my head. You always fly. I want to fly something bigger, something faster, something different.
Okay, so it never ends.
It never ends, you know. That's the fun part of it. So obviously, I just did my seaplane stuff. So now I'm kind of all into the seaplane, and you know, want to kind of expand that a little bit. But probably maybe a rating or something like that. We'll see. But
seaplane sounds fun. Now, when you do the seaplane and you go down to ground effect on the water,
well, it's a little bit different.
Okay.
You kind of fly it more into the water versus you don't really flare out and wait for it. It's more, you know, flying it in and just stopping your rate of descent, and then you kind of land it. So
that's cool. So would you say landing a seaplane is easier than landing on ground, or
harder?
Harder.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. You have to be more. It's easy to tip a seaplane, right? So you definitely, it's definitely harder.
All right, and then my final question is, what advice would you give to somebody that's watching, thinking about starting their student pilot journey?
Yeah, well, you know, a couple different things, right? You want to think about, first of all, find a flight school that you like and are comfortable with, and an instructor, a good, you know, like, you know, really matched, but, you know, a good flight instructor is, it could be different for an instructor that's good for someone might not be good for a different one, you know, because you might not click. And that happens all the time, you know, that, you know, you move around student because you think this person will be better off with that one. So make sure you're good with your instructor, and then also know what you're committing to. It's a lot of study. It's just not the flying part, right? It's just a lot of reading too. And so make sure that you know what you get yourself into, and most of all, you know, stay safe.
Right,
yeah.
right. So the whole studying, so that was kind of a little joke with me about the studying, because I expected to do my written test before I even started flight lessons.
Yeah.
Just to get it out of the way, and Travis is like, just go fly.
Yeah.
And so Charlotta kept saying, have you taken your written yet? You know, and she kept asking, which is the best thing she could do for me. So I finally thought I was good and ready and took that first written to get it out of the way, and I missed it by one question. I was so devastated. So then, you know, that written test kind of creeped up, because we're still checking off our list for getting closer to the CheckRide.
Yeah.
And I think it was like, 2 weeks before my CheckRide. Yeah. And I finally took that second written test, and I passed it by 2.
But you know, you did a lot of practice tests, which also shows, right, that you never know, because it's a big bank of questions, and they're a little bit different sometimes, you know, because they're very different. But even if you pass, like you did pass multiple, you know, training, you know, tests, and then you did it, and you know, just like one question. So that can happen. So just because you know, pass one, I did one test and I passed my test, and now I can go and do, you know, just know, and you're a great example of that, right? So
right. Well, I don't ever fail at anything. But you know, you fail to learn is what I've learned. And so not necessarily some of those questions on that test are really like flying questions.
Yeah.
And some of them trick you, but the rule of thumb is, if you are doing that, like what I did is the Sporties pilot training, you have to pass those tests with 80% or better. So that's 10% above what you can pass with the normal written.
Yeah.
But the rule of thumb is you want to pass those Sporties tests with 90% or better, because you're going to at least get 10% less when you go in for the written, which was real, because I did get 10% less.
And also you're a little bit nervous, and all that plays a big part too, I think.
Yeah.
So
and that written, it's timed, right? I can't remember how much time you get.
Yeah, you do have, I'm not really sure either, but it is 3 hours or something. But Just a lot of questions. And
it is. It's, and so with the questions you miss, so I passed with 2, you know, above 2. So those questions you missed, you really have to study, go over. Your instructor has to sign you off saying that we went through it together. Before you go to your CheckRide, because that morning of your CheckRide, like I told you, you do your oral part first, so you go over every single question you missed wrong. So
those will be on there for sure.
And you definitely want to do well on your written. And You know, it took me, I think it was like halfway through my oral, and I'm like, these were the questions I missed, weren't they? Because he was so subtle, and it was just a conversation.
Yeah.
So depending on your DPE too, you could either have a great DPE or a not so great experience. And mine was great. He definitely made it feel like a conversation like this.
He is really awesome. I mean, there's people out there that is more out to nail you.
Yeah.
And I don't like those, but you had a great one, so
yeah,
he's awesome.
Overall, I think my whole experience in this was amazing. Everything about it. I have so many new friends. I still need to get my own plane so I can take my friends places. But I don't think I would ever change anything about what I did. At the end of it, you know, Charlotta, she's like, hey, and I told you guys on my CheckRide video, I think I was flying every day, and she had me booked with a different instructor, so I felt more comfortable because I hadn't flown with anyone else.
Yeah.
And so that was great in the sense if there was something that she missed, which I don't think there was anything she missed, except for we didn't do the no flap landing. It's
just the comfort of flying with a different person can help. Otherwise, if you fly, and that's another advice, because not everybody. I like to have my student fly with other people just because of that, but not all the schools out there, maybe recommend or say that. So that's something, if someone goes and do training, you can request that, because it definitely, I think, helps. Because just flying with a different instructor can be nerve-wracking, right? Like, oh, who's this? And so it's just kind of helps you practice that part of it, to be in an airplane with someone else. So
it truly did. Yeah. I feel like it set my CheckRide up better, although I still had the nerves.
Yeah.
But overall, it was the best experience. So definitely find yourself that instructor that you click with and that wants to help you through this instead of just growing hours for themselves. So
and you are a great student. Not everybody's a great student either. There is people coming in there and want to, go the easy route or whatever, try to just, like I said, just like get through the written stuff and the studying, and that's not a good base for flying. It's not like a car that, okay, I'm not sure what I'm doing now, I'm just gonna pull over here, and you can't really do that up in the air. So that's why, it's really, important is that you're a great student.
And that's so appropriate on the pulling over, right? Like, that's why Travis, when we fly, I'm like, well, there's no bathrooms. I can't, he's like, there's so many different airfields we can land at to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, I think it's just the nerves of being in a plane, not having to be able to just pull over and stop. And so in the sense of pulling over, right, and getting to safety, in the air, for me, that pulling over is taking myself out of a situation and going in a circle. So, and getting away from that plane that I think is too close.
Yeah.
So,
which you did great. You did, very good.
Yeah. So I love it. I am so thankful for you. And I cannot wait till we continue and get that instrument.
Awesome. Yep. Next step.
Oh, right? Did you have anything, like, I had so many questions in here, and I know I bugged you down with them all. But
I don't remember them all.
Do you have anything that else you wanted to say, or with anybody?
It's been a pleasure to fly with you overall. I really have enjoyed my time with you, because you're such a great person, and I love just hanging out with you. So you're not getting rid of me either.
Shucks, no, I'm kidding.
Now we need to just go and fly and have fun.
I know. Well, I do. I do plan to fly a lot to Washington and back. So next summer.
Yeah.
So that's my goal of getting my own plane. But Travis says I can't get my own plane till I have a hangar to put it in, because planes can't be outside.
Yeah, definitely not up in Montana. So
no, that'll come with time. We're working on it.
Yeah. Good.
But I so appreciate every one of you guys for staying with me through this whole student pilot journey. I do hope that you stick with me and my channel and continue. I do believe that in the future I will be posting videos of getting that instrument rating, just because I feel like it is something to learn and know and show others, especially maybe some that aren't currently ready to get up in the air, too busy with work or whatnot. You can dream, right? Like you can see, you can learn.
Yeah.
Because like I was told the other day when I posted something about me messing up my comms on the read back for the approach I was trying to do, I'm like, I can't do it. And so my Josh was up with me that time, so he, you know, said it. But you know, the more you hear, the more you listen, the more familiar you get with it, the easier it comes.
Yeah.
So I hope that my videos for you will do the same. But I definitely appreciate you being here and supporting me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.